سخنگوی بعدی ما خانم دکتر آمنه اصگری هستند. ایشون محقق دانشگاه پزشکی و دانشگاه هنر و علوم دانشگاه هاروارد هستند. از سال 2003 تا به الان در فعالیت‌های حقوق بشر بودن و تخصصشون و کانسنتریشنشون در مورد حقوق زنان و به خصوص کودکان هست. پریزنتیشنشون در مورد Building Trust, Rebuilding Trust, Strengthening Iran's ILO Membership Through Compliance. بازسازی اعتماد، تقویت عضویت ایران در سازمان جهانی کار از طریق پایبندی. خانم دکتر اصگری بفرمایید.
من صدام بلنده. خب hello everyone. First of all, I'm going to be annoying in two ways. One is I cut short very interesting talk by Mr. Dehqan, and second is my talk is completely in English. I assumed everybody is going to be presenting in English, so please accept my apologies. And okay. So my talk today is about rebuilding trust in strengthening basically the Iran's ILO's membership. This is very different from whatever I've been doing for the past, how many years, 2003. My approach and all the other activists I worked with has been always to closely following the labor rights and the abuse of labor rights in Iran, preparing all those, documenting them, sending letters to ILO and all the international organizations, asking them for the expulsion of Iran from all these institutions, because all these organizations, because Iran is not in compliance with any of that. To be able to talk here, so things have shifted, but I still need to talk a little about how Iran is abusing labor rights. One of the most important part is we all know the reality that labor rights and particularly children's rights have been violated by the Iranian regime a lot. A lot of people are living in extreme poverty. There is mass unemployment in Iran. There are hazardous working conditions for coal bars, people who are grueling labor basically. And there is state suppression of independent labor organizations and NGOs. I hope I can play this little clip that what you see here, this was recorded by one of my fellow activists inside Iran, in Tehran. The van, the truck, is, all those are children. They are coming out of the truck and they're going to go collect garbage across the city. And this truck is from the city council, from Tehran. So there is no need to say, and I'm sure you all know, about how Iran is violating labor rights, women's rights, and children's rights. But the question then becomes, how is the relationship between Iran and ILO? So first of all, Iran is one of the founding member of the ILO, joined ILO in 1919, and since then has been the member of ILO. On their website, they state specifically that a founding member of ILO, the Islamic Republic of Iran, was one of the first countries in the region to join the organization, and Iran has ratified 15 ILO conventions, including 6, this should be 7 because there was one last year, of the 10 core conventions. So we're going to look at those conventions and see if this is really true. These are 10 core conventions that Iran claims that they are ratifying. And the 3 that are in red are the ones that Iran accepts that they are not ratifying these 3. But the question is really Iran ratifying those 7? So our problem is just to say, well, if Iran can do the other three, then we are good. It's a very beautiful country. We can go and, we don't have anything to do. The problem is, this is not true. And the bigger problem is, you cannot say to ILO that Iran hasn't been ratifying those 7. I did, and I think thousands of Iranian activists inside Iran, outside Iran, organization, not people like me who during the day they study their mathematics and in the night they work. People who are like these lawyers, they've been contacting ILO, asking them, Iran is not doing that. And ILO is not accepting, is not listening, none of that. So the question is, does ILO truly believe the numbers and the statistics that they receive from Iranian government, or they just decided they're going to lower the bar so that Iran is there in order to whatever weird relationship they all have? If it's the first one, if Iran is sending false data, again, most of the burden is on us to make sure that we have a louder voice. We can send correct data and statistics. We can empower those who are in Iran. If it's the second one, then we also have to hold ILO accountable for why they are accepting all these informations, why they don't actually question the fact that how many different ways Iran has been violating these laws and regulations. For example, the minimum age for child labor, Iran accepted that. And they say, according to ILO, this is 15. Iran has been recruiting immigrants, Afghan immigrants, in the borders as young as 12 to send them as a militia to the wars in the Middle East. Iran is recruiting Iranian children inside the country, Iranian students as Basijis, and they're recruiting them as young as 12 and 13. And still, if I go back to that slide, what you see is that, the minimum age convention, numbers 138, that Iran said they ratified, is not, obviously it has been violated. So in order to think about, I can talk a lot about, I can just count thousands of abuse, particularly when it comes to women and children and how Iran is treating them. I can do all of that, and I'm sure you all are well aware of that. And I was told specifically not to get into my activist mode and be more of a speaker of stating the facts. So I would like to see what is the path forward. What do we need to do? Obviously, ILO must enforce and reinforce real compliance, not just the paperwork. There must be some independent bodies, independent monitoring, reporting from Iran and also to the ILO. And also, there should be some, we must insist on ILO lead investigations and field assessments inside Iran, inside the country. And I think most of this is on us, really, to force between ILO and Iranian regime. It is not only building the relationship between Iran and ILO. It's also, I personally cannot trust ILO. Similarly, I cannot trust UNICEF. So what it needs to be done is building trust on this triangle, trying to really make this connection. The first move, the first thing that Iran can do is ratify the 3 remaining core conventions: freedom of association and protection of right to organize and collective bargaining convention. Obviously, a lot of labor activists are in prison right now. And occupational safety and health convention, which I just briefly talked about. Also, Iran has to allow independent labor union and NGOs to operate freely. There are a lot of NGOs and right now in Iran, whatever is working is either under the umbrella of charities, or they constantly face closure. So this is another thing Iran needs to do. And Iran needs to ensure transparency in reporting labor condition and wages. We all know how terrible economic situation is right now in Iran. We know women have been constantly underpaid. They do a lot of really difficult jobs. And forced military recruitment of children. This is not a news. We all know this during Iran-Iraq war. How many children were, the whole news came with Feridun Farrokhzad as being one of the biggest figures in bringing all of that, children who've been encouraged to join the war. And then abolish child labor in practice, not only in paper. This is one of the most important things. This is something that I personally have a lot of passion about, because I worked with children, and we all talk about future of Iran, which is very respectful. But when I was talking to children who were working children in Tehran, whenever I was asking them, when would you like the child labor to abolish, and you go to school, the children mentality doesn't understand future. I think a lot of you probably are parents, they don't tell you maybe next year. They say now. You tell them, do you want to go somewhere? They say now. So abolish child labor now. This has become our slogan, because this is what we want. We want, regardless of who is in power in Iran, which we all certainly hope sooner than later is not the regime, but child labor is abolished in Iran. And this is only possible if not only us work together, but we hold the sole organization that its responsibility is to monitor children and child labor, to just look at it, not ignoring us, look at that. And then also hold Iran accountable for this. So I have, I'm also representative of an assembly of activists inside Iran. All of them are actually inside Iran. I'm the only one outside. And I work with them constantly. We are working to creating a lot of statements, writing letters, anything that is possible to bring awareness about children's rights in Iran. And I would like to ask you to join us in this, because I cannot emphasize more enough that childhood is such a precious, short time, and is not repeated again. So all the children, I worked with them, and nothing happened during the time that I was in Iran and I was working with them. They are now either in Afghanistan, or even if they were Iranian, they are in Iran. They are having children. It's gone. Their childhood was wasted in factories, in harsh environments, being subject of abuse, all sorts of abuse, sexual, physical, mental. And what we can do is we have to stop this, because this cycle has to just stop, and we can do this. And finally, I want to thank you all on behalf of working children in Iran and all the children in Iran. And specifically, I didn't write here, but from their mothers, because there are a lot of mothers who, when their children were going to work, they would tell us that if we had any other choice, I wouldn't want my 6-year-old girl to go to the streets and sell tissue boxes. So I think this is, I know I should have focused mostly on the reconstruction of Iran, but this is reconstruction of Iran, because these children are going to grow up. Then they become either scientists or they become criminals. And this is really on us. If we can do something, we have to do it now, with the regime, without the regime. We have to do it now. Thank you.